Hi everyone, welcome to Outgrow's Market of the Month. I'm your host, Dr. Saksham Sharda. I'm the creative director at outgrow.co. And for this month, we're going to interview Hiro, Tien, Apoorva, Dorandula, and Michelle Liu, who are the co-founders at Viralspace.ai. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so we're going to start with a rapid fire round just to break the ice. Each of you get 3 passes. In case you don't want to answer a question, you can just say pass. But try to keep your answers to one word or one sentence only, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, so I'm going to start with the first question now. It's going to start with Hiro. How long does it take you to get ready in the mornings?
2 minutes.
Okay. Apoorva, next question for you. Most embarrassing moment of your life?
Oh, this is a hard one. I think I forgot a speech when I was giving it in a presentation in college. So definitely that.
Okay. Michelle, how many hours of sleep can you survive on?
I like to get a good night's sleep, so I aim for 8, but maybe 6 to 7.
Okay. Back to Hiro. The city in which the best kiss of your life happened?
Probably Venice in Italy.
Wow, romantic. Okay. Apoorva, pick one. Mark Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey?
Jack Dorsey.
Okay. Michelle, the first movie that comes to your mind when I say the word ambition?
Man, maybe the McDonald's founder movie. I really liked that one.
Oh, wow, I haven't seen that, but okay. Hiro, back to you. When did you last cry and why?
Oh my God. Honestly, I don't remember. Probably 15 years ago, and I don't know, maybe 20 years ago when I was last hit by my mom. Likely, haven't been crying since.
Okay. Apoorva, the biggest mistake of your career?
You know, I don't feel like I've made any, and if I have, I don't know it yet.
Okay. All right, back to Michelle. How do you relax?
Well, during normal times, I like to go to ballet classes. That's something I've done my whole life, but during quarantine, I switched over to yoga.
Okay. Hiro, how many cups of coffee do you drink per day?
On average, 2.
Okay. Apoorva, a habit of yours that you really hate?
Let's see. Tending to overeat when I'm celebrating something.
Same here. Okay, Michelle, the most valuable skill you've learned in life?
I think Viralspace has taught me just how to learn a lot of new things quickly. For example, in my role here, I do customer success. Basically, I had no experience in that before coming in, but I guess I've learned how to learn new skills and how to reach out to the right people to get advice on them.
Okay. Back to you, Hiro. Fill in the blank. An upcoming marketing trend is blank.
A cookieless future.
Okay. And finally, Apoorva, your favorite Netflix show?
Ooh, I was a huge fan of the Karate Kid movie, so I enjoyed watching Cobra Kai.
Okay. All right, that's the end of the rapid fire round, and you all scored 10 on 10, so there's that. And it's time for the bigger questions now. The first question is, how did Viralspace.ai start? What has been the company's greatest success so far?
Yeah, no, happy to share a quick background.
Anyone can answer now, yeah?
Yeah, happy to share a quick background on the company and then how we got started. So basically, the 3 of us met at Stanford while we were completing our degrees. That's probably 1.5 to 2 years ago. Before Stanford, I was in Southeast Asia, and I co-founded a Groupon equivalent in my home country. So have a ton of digital marketing experience before coming to the Bay. And then Apoorva was working at the forefront of computer vision, researching with Professor Fei Li, the former chief scientist of AI and ML at Google. We both interned at Google one summer and decided to team up. Michelle, on the other hand, had doubled in marketing and at companies like IDEO and Anheuser-Busch. She had a strong background in product design and joined us to kind of fill the gap in product and design thinking that we had. And fun fact, Apoorva and I met over a spreadsheet, and Michelle and I met over a LinkedIn cold message. And if we go all the way back, that's kind of how it started. Just three of us coming together and wanting to start something awesome in the space. And then early on, we just talked to a ton of digital marketers in the space. These are people like early angels and customer advisors at large brands and Fortune 500s. We, for example, have a founder of a WPP Accord agency backing us. And here's the insights we gather, right? So, it sort of became the thesis of the company as well. And it is the fact that the number one factor that drives ad performance on digital platforms today is the creative. And more than half of a brand's sales lift from digital advertising can be attributed to creative. And this is according to Nielsen Catalina Solutions. Yet creative optimization today is done through a lot of guessing, checking, and A/B testing. And this process has not changed for decades. And we're here to change that. And our official one-liner is that we use AI to help digital marketers make data-driven decisions about their ad creative. To your question on, what's the, biggest achievement so far, we're a really young company, just really getting started in making a dent in the universe here. I would say the biggest achievement is likely closing a client called Textile Fashion Group, which is a huge client of ours that houses Kate Hudson and Rihanna's fashion brands. And they do a lot of assets. They spend a lot on digital marketing. And when they found us, there was a great cultural fit. And they're going to be a client for for a pretty long time. So yeah, there's that. So that's kind of my response.
Wow, so it seems pretty apt that the founders of an AI company met on a spreadsheet in a Google internship. Is that what you said? A Google internship? Was that it?
Yeah, no, we Apoorva, feel free to add additional flavors here. But if I remember correctly, we met over the spreadsheet for a class project at Stanford, and then we interned at Google, if I remember it correctly.
Yeah, that's right. It was very Silicon Valley. And I think it was nice because, on the spreadsheet, you kind of list what you're interested in and what your strengths are. So it was really nice to be able to, it was an easy way to find people to speak to.
That's nice.
And
And a
then
lot of yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then when you run out of names on the spreadsheet and you're still looking, you go to LinkedIn, and that's kind of how I found Michelle.
Yeah. So a lot of our clients are actually marketers. And how do you go about marketing to get companies like, Rihanna's production company that you talk about, fashion production company, and etc. How do you go about like creating enough marketing around Viralspace.ai to get these kinds of clients and brands?
Yep, happy to take a stab at this. To be completely honest, we we don't. I guess we do a little bit of content marketing. We unfortunately at this stage do not have a sort of like a wide scale marketing sort of initiative. I think primarily because we are playing in the sort of premium enterprise space, where a lot of the leads are, I guess, found through in-person interactions, or nowadays I guess Zoom interactions, and very hyper targeted clients that are coming through the funnel with very warm referrals from our clients, from our investors, and just us being at conferences, meeting people. I guess that's one of the big things, us just showing up at conferences and hopping on calls with people, and qualifying clients, and then just putting them through the funnel. It almost didn't feel like they're going through a funnel. More feels like a strategic partnership every conversation. But yeah, Michelle, you wanna add on the marketing work that we've been doing?
Yeah, absolutely. So in the early days, a lot of our clients really felt like advisors. So, as Hiro mentioned, we started off in this class project. We were students and we just wanted to learn more about the marketing space. So we reached out to, connections that we had from Stanford, as well as just sent out a bunch of cold emails looking for advice. And luckily, there were a bunch of really kind, really smart people in the marketing world that were willing to sit down with us and tell us about what they were looking for in a tool. And we basically built it exactly custom to them. So a lot of our, early customers came in this very white glove, very personal advisory fashion. And although now, of course, we do more of your typical enterprise sales process, we really try to keep it white glove and personal in that same way. So yeah, just like Hiro said, it's less of, broad based marketing and a lot more of trying to form those really close personal connections.
That sounds very promising, though, because that's exactly the kind of beginning Outgrow, my company, had as well. In the beginning, it was mostly through referrals and, meeting people, and every prospect was actually just a whole universe in himself. So that's pretty interesting. And I had another follow-up question about this, but it's just gone off my mind. But I'll come back to that follow-up question. I'm going to go to the next one, which is, how important is data-driven marketing, do you think, in today's age?
Yeah, no, look, the future, not very far from into the future, we're going to be seeing AI writing ads without even realizing it, and we're gonna see ads on Facebook, on Google. They're entirely, or at least majority, written by an AI with a human, maybe proofreading or just approving it, and that's one, right? And I think we're due for a disruption as well in the um, sort of creative intelligence space. The past decade, the past 10, 20 years has been about automation, has been about workflow, and it more recently has been about bid optimization and audience optimization. And all those things, they're like folks are tapping out, right? So they're pretty much optimized all they can with Facebook having their own algorithms, with some of the biggest players out there having solved most of the automation problem, the templates, the audience segmentation, the bits. But no one has really cracked the creative intelligence side of things, the other half of the equation that ads that are driving ad performance, right? So you know if folks are being super data driven with bits, with audience, and with automation, it makes no sense that they're not being data driven with their creative. And this is something that our clients are realizing in the recent months, even I would say, as they head into a new era where cookies are going away, and and computer vision and machine learning making leaps and bounds, but with no direct applications to digital ads yet. It is the space itself is heating up, and our clients are realizing that they need to be investing in this area. We've got, for example, a quote from a managing director of Ogilvy Social, a huge agency, who's one of our partners. Literally, just mentioning what I just told you, they are investing, in creative optimization because they believe that's where the most lift will come from, and they believe that that's the next frontier in digital advertising, and the world is increasingly a data-driven one, and to leave out, something like an AI-driven creative optimization is just a no-brainer.
Yeah, and
Well,
and just to add
go ahead.
on, oh, go ahead.
No,
Oh,
you go ahead.
just
That's fine.
awesome. Yeah, just to add on, like Hiro was saying, like right now, the entire creative space, all of like so many creative decisions are being made on guesswork, and there's a lot of uncertainty of like why an ad actually performed well or why it performed poorly. So that's definitely something that we are working on building into the product. Like there is already a version of that incorporated, and making sure that whatever AI that we're building is explainable and it's transparent and it's fair and we're following all of the best practices is also super important to us in this space.
So I was wondering though, so even though you're helping all these partners like Ogilvy that you mentioned, and I keep thinking of Rihanna's brand, so I'm gonna keep mentioning this through the entire interview. Uh, uh, they're using data-driven marketing, like you're saying, but to what extent are you using data-driven marketing to market Viralspace.ai itself, or to what extent do you plan to use it in the future? Because right now you said you're getting most of your client base through these very premium referrals, but at what point are you going to actually start using Viralspace.ai for Viralspace.ai?
That is a really interesting question. I think one way we started to tackle that was when COVID first started. We realized that a lot of marketers' budgets were hit hard and we couldn't go through our usual user acquisition channels. So we actually decided to create a bunch of free tools to help marketers with their advertising and helping them adapt it to COVID. So we scraped a bunch of organic social media, mostly across Instagram and Facebook, and we scraped across the Facebook ads library to pull trends in terms of how ads and the creative, the keywords, the even some audience targeting factors were changing across the board in different industries. And that we launched across Product Hunt. We didn't actually run any of our own Facebook ads, but we launched in a bunch of different other channels. And we got a lot of inbound interest that way. And we're sort of able to take what is usually super custom to our clients with our internal tool and make it more available to a broad audience. Does that answer your question?
Kind of. I had another question now that actually you mentioned Product Hunt, so my attention went in that direction. I also, well, my show notes tell me that you have also founded other internet companies in the past. How has that helped you build Viralspace.ai? And did you launch those companies on Product Hunt as well, or those products as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We did not launch another company on Product Hunt. We launched a COVID dashboard on Product Hunt. Basically, I guess the product Michelle just mentioned earlier. It's a
Mhm.
free product that we had on our website. What you might be referring to, might be a kind of a pre-pivot era of viral space. As I mentioned, three of us we met at Stanford, and we were working on several projects over at Stanford before, I guess finally landing on this current version of viral space, which is an AI, engagement prediction software to help marketers make data-driven decisions. But just to, I guess, before just diving deeper into this, just to clarify, do you meant the companies that I founded in the past, or a previous iteration of viral space?
Yeah, I mean, I did get Michelle's the COVID dashboard point that you launched on Product Hunt, but that got me thinking of the companies that you had launched in the past. So yeah, the companies you had launched in the past. If you could talk about those and how they actually helped you build viralspace.ai.
Yeah, no, totally. I think Michelle had a past startup experience as well. But on my side, really quickly, I founded the Groupon equivalent of my home country. Maybe I don't know 8 years ago when I was in college. So it was group buying. So it was a lot of people buying vouchers online for discounted stuff like massages and spas and etc. So it was a brand building on its own, right? For me and the company that I started. And at that time, Facebook was still new, and it was organic, and then paid social was new. So I kind of had the sort of first-hand experience of the transition from organic to paid, and then just being able to generate creative and track the ads and put money behind the paid social platforms like Google Search as well, and Google Display, and also Facebook. And I think a lot of that experience have helped me, I guess, gain a better understanding and have more of a user empathy and client empathy as well. When we're building our product, when we're talking to our clients, when we're selling a product, in terms of the pain point that we're solving. And I think that all kind of adds up as well. And being sort of a second time founder, also, I guess, makes the process a little bit less scary, as I've been through kind of the fundraising piece, and a little bit of hiring and keeping the team together as we go on this potentially decades long journey. So that's at least the story on my side.
How about the rest of you? Does it apply
Sure.
to you as
So
well? Mhm.
yeah, so as Hiro mentioned, I had a little bit of startup experience, certainly not the decade-long career that he had, but I did a lot of very early stage startup work when I was at Stanford. So I was part of the Entrepreneur in Residence program run by ZX Ventures, which is the AB InBev venture capital arm. And basically, they gave us a summer and 25K of funding to go prove out some kind of beverage idea that then, if they liked it, they would incorporate it into their existing line of products. So that was just a very fun summer of going from absolutely nothing to, going and talking to people on the street about health drinks, which was our space, and learning how to brew beverages and create samples and test them out with people, and even walk into bodegas and grocery stores completely cold and try to sell them on ordering batches of our products. So I think I learned a lot very quickly about the early stages of coming up with a product idea and proving it out. And I repeated that process a couple other times through just helping out some Stanford student startups. I helped out a startup that was in the Stanford D School Launchpad class with some design work early on. I did some marketing and product management for another social media startup when I was in my freshman year. So I dabbled in a lot of these things very early, never took it so much farther than those early stages until Viralspace. But I think just getting so many reps of building user empathy, building early prototypes really helps out in the early stages when we had to go through the same.
Yeah, I think for me, I never worked in a startup before Viralspace, so it was my first time. But I have been doing like side projects and stuff. Like Berkeley, where I did my undergrad, has a huge side project culture. So that really helps, especially when you're trying to put something together, put a prototype together when you're a very early stage startup. So I guess those kinds of skills helped me along the way.
Okay, so what's one piece of advice that all three of you, coming from these kind of different paths and now working at Viralspace AI, what is the one piece of advice you would give to someone who is just starting up?
I can go first here. I think for me, I've just learned that it's better to start and try to build something rather than wait for the perfect idea. Stanford has this huge entrepreneurship culture. Pretty much everyone seems to want to someday start something, but I can't tell you how often I heard from my friends in undergrad that I'm just, would love to start something, but I don't know what, and I'm waiting for the right idea. And for me, I mean, I'm very grateful that I got to join forces with Hiro and Apoorva, and we just sort of started down this path of marketing. And I think, as Hiro briefly alluded to earlier, we actually were working on a totally different idea for a couple of months before we pivoted into this. So maybe our first idea wasn't 100% perfect, but the fact that we just got to start and we got out there, we met marketers, we met investors, and just got to try our hand at the entrepreneurship process taught me so much more than just what would have happened if I kept sitting there and thinking of ideas in my notebook for hours. So yeah, I would just say go try, especially if the stakes are low, like we luckily had when we were all at Stanford together.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that philosophy because I think the more seriously one takes the startup game, the less of a result one would say. It's like you have to think of it as a game and just give it a try. How about the rest of you? What do you think?
Actually,
Yeah.
I was. Oh, go ahead, Hiro.
No, go ahead, Apoorva. I'll go last.
Oh, gotcha. So yeah, I actually was also thinking about, just start as my advice, but maybe I can take it just a step further. And I think, you know, as a technical person, I am always eager to code and start building and all of this stuff. So something that I learned very early on is you should be starting with understanding the problem, understanding the customer, trying to figure out like, prototyping and lo-fi mock-ups or designs first to validate before getting into like actually building the product. I think that was definitely something that surprised me in the beginning because, I my first instinct is just to code. So that really helped me out early on.
Hmm. And you, Hero?
Yeah, I guess from me, nothing beats hustle and hard work, right? So the harder you work, I believe, the luckier you get. And a lot of first-time founders underestimate how much they can do with very little resources, very little to no funding, even. But once folks start rolling up their sleeves and hustle and work hard, they start realizing that, hey, with the right strategy, you can really accomplish a great deal. Even before you raise a round or something like that. And I think that's just one thing that I continue to practice and also preach as an advice.
That's interesting though, because I would assume hustle and hard work are kind of contradictory to each other, because hustle is kind of a shortcut, whereas hard work is like, as Michelle was saying at one point, it's like you think of a perfect idea and you're trying to realize that perfect idea, whereas a hustle is more like, you go around and try to take the shortcut to the perfect idea. But
Yeah,
how do
no,
you reconcile that?
it's definitely tricky, right? So I guess everything is a balance, right? So you at the same time you want to work really smart, but you also really don't want to slack off, and you really want to be out there. And I think an example is just me being at conferences. The more I show up, it's really 80% is all about showing up and meeting those clients, and the luckier I get with the clients. But I also need to know where I should be showing up, and not showing up at all the conferences, right? So I think that's kind of how I think about hustle and hard work, working in tandem and just balancing them.
Okay, I had two questions here. A, does anyone else have anything else to say about hustle and hard work? And B, how are you meeting people now? Because of the virus, there are no conferences.
I think something that goes along with hustle and hard work is like working smart. Like there are always going to be a ton of different ways to do something, and sometimes it's just a matter of figuring out, like, is it time to do like this really heavy lift, hard solution, or can we do this other thing and see, and like, based on, XYZ, we can do this other thing. Like I think, it's very black and white, and just making smart decisions really helps along the way, just thinking them through.
100%. So in our product management processes, we've had to really learn how to prioritize things and even sometimes say no to things. I think in our early days, we were just eager to please our clients. So they would send us an email with our request, and we would drop everything to answer immediately, get the request turned around in an hour. And while that was awesome, we eventually learned that that was really derailing a lot of our initial roadmaps. So we've learned, I think, to sort of understand better what is important to do first, how to prioritize things, and like Apoorva said, just work smarter as well as still working hard.
Sounds good. And about
Yeah.
the conferences thing, how are you guys handling that?
No, totally. Yeah, 12 months ago, if you asked me, I would tell you, hey, we bought some tickets to New York and maybe LA to attend some conferences, but obviously none of that happened because of COVID. And now all the events and summits and conferences that have gone online, we're just there, we're just online. And I think it's a new world. It's interesting. We've been meeting, I guess, majority of our clients, all the clients that we've signed since COVID. We've never met them in person. And I guess it just goes to show, how like what the world will look like over the next couple of years or even decades, and what it looks like to be selling a SaaS product to brands out there, and it can completely be done online.
Have you not experienced, because like this is my personal experience, especially with like being a podcast host and also working in a SaaS tool, I've noticed a lot of digital fatigue because of Corona. Like, the last thing I want to do in my free time is attend a webinar, because I don't want to. Like, I want to like do yoga. Like Michelle was saying, it's a way of relaxing. I want to disconnect from the virtual space. So have you noticed that this has had any effect on the pitches that you're making for your software?
Yeah, no, totally. Folks are getting a ton more inbounds, a ton more emails, and we are doing a ton more as well. As we get more time back from commute and all. But I think at the end of the day, it's really about cutting through the noise. And we've heard just repeatedly from our marquee clients about what's special about us, what they're not seeing in the market, and why they responded to us. And for us, it's really about honing in on those and refining our pitch, so that we get better over time, and we get more targeted. We get more on point with the messages and LinkedIn messages and emails that we're sending, and also the conferences we're attending. I think it's in this new world. It's all about focus. It's all about hyper targeting and bringing the solutions to the right people, and above all, I think just sticking out like a sore thumb and standing out in the market, I think definitely helps.
I also think there's two ways in which we're really lucky here. One is that we've always been a partially remote company. So we always did a couple days per week working from home. And with a lot of our clients, we met them originally online even before COVID hit. So in a way, it's kind of leveled the playing field for us. We've had experience just building strong work from home culture, as well as, of course, we do miss coming into the office, but I think we had a little bit of a leg up there from day one. And the other thing is, when you're selling in the digital ad space, COVID has actually been really interesting for us because e-commerce is bigger than ever. People are spending more on digital ads, especially Facebook and Instagram ads, our specialty, more than ever too. So I think there's actually a lot of appetite right now for tools like Viralspace, creative optimization, due to this always online culture. So some advantages there as well.
Yeah, for sure, that makes sense. Related to that, I had a question. What do you think marketers are doing wrong when it comes to all this data? And I guess now there's a lot of data available because a lot of things have moved online because of COVID that weren't online before. So, what do you think marketers are doing wrong when it comes to data?
I can take a first stab at this one. So I think one thing is that there's just like you mentioned, there's so much data available. It's actually hard to figure out how best to parse through it and actually make sense of it. There's so much potential around it, and like Hiro was mentioning earlier, there's right now a lot of it has just been metadata related, and then the other thing is I think the computer vision or AI talent, there's a huge shortage of it still. And so even though companies might have all of this media and creative data, they don't actually have the means of analyzing it at like an image or video level yet. So I think, using tools like what we're building and making it more accessible for companies to be able to get those kinds of insights would be a great, next step to actually unlocking that creative potential that there is.
Yeah, we actually hear this all the time when we're pitching to new clients. They've been running ads for years and they have not been able to sit down and make sense of all the data. It's kind of just untapped, amazing data that right now they're able to pull little things. We'll see in reports, oh, okay, our best ad was this, and we think it might be because of these factors, or in general, videos that, were shorter tended to do videos that better than videos that were longer because we tracked that one single factor. But it's really hard to do that at scale. And fortunately, not every company can have someone as amazing as Apoorva, like she said.
Okay, Hiro, do you want to answer that as well?
No, I think Michelle and Apoorva covered pretty well. And I think, I guess in addition to that, a lot of brands are just not doing anything with the data. I mean, they're doing it for the other optimization purposes, but like I mentioned earlier, if you're not doing it for creative, it's as good as just data sitting there. It's a gold mine just sitting there waiting to be mined.
Okay. And we are approaching the end of the interview, so I have to ask this question because I think it won't make sense. A token privacy question. So, especially because it's an AI company. So, what privacy concerns around data use? No, with privacy concerns around data use, what do you think lies ahead for businesses providing personalized solutions? Who wants to take a stab at this one?
Yeah, I can take a first stab at this. So, right now we're using all of this first party data, and it's all things that, Facebook provides us. So it's not identifiable. And even if we do get any data around gender or, audience groups and stuff, we actually consciously have made the decision as a company not to go into that space and, work with building models based on like gender, race, sexuality. So, although we explicitly do remove all of that kind of information, there are still ways that bias and fairness and privacy can creep in. So we always have a human in the loop as well to make sure that what our models are outputting, it it's working well for everyone, and it's as fair as possible. And I think, as with any AI company, there is still a lot to be done in this space. So we're constantly looking for ways to make sure that we're being as fair and as transparent as possible.
Yeah, and we don't really see any private individual user data. What we get from Facebook, from the API, is basically the ad image, the text, whatever other creative factors, and then the KPI that goes with it. So we're not seeing individual user behavior, and as long as Facebook continues to be able to provide rich KPIs as they do, none of that should really affect us.
Okay. The human in the loop phrase just actually took me back to the two humans on a spreadsheet phase phrase that you mentioned earlier. And from that, I actually have a bonus question for all of you, which is, what would you be doing if you had not met on that spreadsheet? Like, and if not Viralspace.ai, what would you all be doing right now?
I would probably be doing product marketing, or a role that sounds like that in a big tech company, or a late stage startup. That was what I was planning on when I was completing my degree at Stanford, but startup bug bit me, and I met the dream team here.
Yeah, and I'd probably be doing either product design or product management at a tech company, looking to build my skills and prepare myself for a startup someday. But yeah, luckily got to skip that step.
Yeah, I think similar to what these guys said, I would also probably be working at a big tech company. I actually didn't end up recruiting at all in the my last year at Stanford, because I knew I was going to do Viralspace after I graduated, so luckily I didn't have to do that.
Oh, brilliant. I was actually going to probably do filmmaking if I wasn't in my tech company, but that's a different story. Okay, I think that's the end of the interview. Thanks everyone for joining us for this month's episode of Outgrow's Market of the Month. That was Hiro, Tien, Apoorva, Dorandula, and Michelle Liu, who are the co-founders at Viralspace.ai. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do check out their website for more details, and we'll see you once again next month with another Market of the Month. Thank you.